Why, hello, everyone. Hello. If you don't know this voice or this beautiful face, then why are you watching this video on YouTube or listening to the audio on Apple Podcasts or Amazon Music Podcasts? What is up, guys? It is James, aka Jimmypancakes20, back here to do a new episode of the Jimmypancakes20 Show. And this episode is going to be episode 15, and I know it's been a while, but we're getting back into the history videos. So this is going to be part 1 of my Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood 2009 history video, part 1, where I'm going to be talking about the dates of the event, the 3 themes, aka slogans for the event, the main icon of the event, which are 2 of them, but they go together for one movie franchise, and then talk about the mini icons, and then talk about the first 3 mazes of this year's event. So, just to let you know how I'm doing these history videos is I'm doing it by year. So I already did 2008 for Hollywood. So now I'm doing 2009, then 2010, 2011, and then 2012 is when I went to multiple events. So I went to Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood in 2012. That was the first year I went to Not Scary Farm, and also the first year that I went to Queen Mary Dark Harbor. So those are going to be coming when I get to 2012. And then for 2013, I went to multiple events. I went to Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood in 2013. I went to Universal Orlando, or Halloween Horror Nights 23. That was my first year going to Orlando. And then I also went to Not Scary Farm, and then I also went to another event, which I originally didn't mention, but I just realized it after going back and looking at some of my paperwork, that I went to also an event that Rob Zombie did in 2013 at the fairgrounds where they have the LA County Fair, which was called Rob Zombie's Great American Nightmare. And I'm going to talk about that event in 2013 as well. So you kind of see how I'm doing these in order. So that's why I wanted to break it down to you. That's how I'm doing them in order. So when I get to those years where I went to multiple events, I'll probably start with Hollywood and then figure out what event I want to do after that. So, I know that was a lot to explain, but I wanted to get that out of the way so you guys understand how I'm doing these history videos for you guys. Alright, guys, so if you guys are ready, sit back, relax, and enjoy episode 15 of the Jimmypancakes20 Show, part 1 of my Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood 2009 history videos, part 1. So, this was the second year I went to Halloween Horror Nights. My very first year going to the event was in 2008, and I've never missed a year of Horror Nights except for in 2020 when COVID shut down all attractions. So, the dates for this year's event was October 2nd, the 3rd, the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, the 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th, 23, 24, 25, and then 28th, 29th, 30th, and the 31st. And these are all in October. So, still nothing in September yet. That's going to be down the road in future videos. So, this year they had 3 slogans. The first one was, I wish it was just a movie. And just to show you, so we are talking about Halloween Horror Nights. This photo was taken by a company called Theme Park Review, so I'm going to be sharing some of their photos so that way you guys can know what I'm talking about as I talk for the mazes and stuff. So yeah, 2009, this is some of the merchandise that they were selling. So yeah, so back to the three themes. You had You Wish It Was Just the Movie. That was the first theme. Second theme was the most horrifying movies come to life. And then the third theme was I Want to Play a Game. Now that's going to tie into the main icon of this year's Halloween Horror Nights. And the main icon for this year's Halloween Horror Nights was Jigsaw, aka Billy the Puppet. So it was basically Jigsaw, aka John Kramer, and also his puppet, Billy the Puppet. Because this year's event was all themed around Saw. So like the Saw movies, the Terror Tram was themed around Saw. They had a Saw maze. They had a 2 scare zones with Saw. So it's basically Saw or John Kramer, aka Jigsaw, Billy the Puppet. They were like running the show this year for Halloween Horror Nights. And then of course you had 3 mini icons. And the first mini icon is Michael Myers from Halloween. So yes, Halloween. This was the first year that they did something with Halloween. The maze was called Halloween: The Life of Crimes of Michael Myers, which we're going to talk about later in this video. But this was the first year they ever did something with Michael Myers, and then for many years, as we go along with this history series, they did multiple versions of Halloween mazes. So, the next icon is, of course, Chucky. Chucky had his own house this year, which was located inside the House of Horrors, which was called Chucky's Fun House, because in 2008 was the last year they did Chucky's Insult Emporium. So to bring Chucky back, because that is a fan favorite at the event. So they wanted to give him his first time they ever did a haunted house with him was in 2009, which was called Chucky's Fun House, that was located inside the House of Horrors. So the last mini icon was Harry Warden, the miner from My Bloody Valentine. So there's actually a story behind how we got this maze. Originally, we were going to have another maze, but unfortunately, due to the movie not coming out this year, they had to scrap that original plan, and so they had to have a backup plan quickly, so they decided to do something with My Bloody Valentine. So I'll get into that story when we get to this maze. So now we're going to talk about the first 3 mazes, and I already mentioned that the first maze we're going to talk about is what was inside the House of Horrors, which was the Chucky maze. Now, the breakdown this year, this year's event, there was 4 mazes. There was the Terror Tram. They had 6 scare zones and then 2 shows. So that's how they did it this year. So, as I said, the first maze that we are going to talk about is Chucky's Fun House, that was located inside the House of Horrors. So here is the description for this maze. The tortured soul of serial killer Charles Lee Ray is trapped inside the body of a doll named Chucky. Chucky has continued Ray's murderous rampage, wrapping up an impressive body count, but something is missing. Delightful of all the murders and mayhem, Chucky has never really taken seriously. After all, it's hard to compete with the big boys of horror when he's in a pint-size doll body. But that's all about to change. Chucky has taken over an old Carney fun house and is rising an army of killer dolls to take his ultimate revenge on humanity. Welcome to Chucky's Fun House. You're going to laugh yourself to death. Yes, so, and if you guys do know, House of Horrors did have a Chucky room built in for the normal daytime guests, so they did use that room, but they turned the entire House of Horrors into Chucky's Fun House. So, as you enter the House of Horrors, aka Chucky's Fun House, you see and interact with the Chucky puppet from Chucky's Insult Emporium. So instead of wasting that puppet and not bringing it back, they decided to bring it to the front of the House of Horrors where people line up, and they had a puppeteer interact with you. So they had that throughout the night as the maze was from the opening of the maze to when it closed every single night. So I thought that was very interesting. So then you enter the maze, and as you enter the first room, you are scared by a werewolf creature. I did not get that at all. I don't really understand what they were trying to do with that character, but that's what they did. So then, instead of going through detail like the House of Horrors, because all for the first level when they did House of Horrors Meets the Strangers, you saw a lot of different characters. Basically, to break this down, you saw a lot of Chucky's and you saw his killer army. So there was not much detail for this maze. You just saw basically the same character throughout the entire maze. But basically the whole first floor, after you pass the first room, you saw different versions of Chucky's killer army dolls. So you saw some that were fully made, some that were just coming out of the factory floor. So you saw like the different progressions of the different characters of the Army Chucky doll. Different phases of them. That's the word I was trying to look for. Different phases of them. So, then you enter. Then after you get past the first floor, you go up to the second floor and you enter the mummy room, which you saw another scare actor of the killer doll Chucky. Now, I think this was the best thing that they did in this maze is the Chucky room. Usually during the day for the House of Horrors, depending on how many people they had working that day, they would sometimes have double scare actors in every single room. For the Chucky maze, they had 3 Chuckies in that room. You had one as you entered, one that came out from the side, and then you had one that was in the boo hole where the stuffed animals were, which I thought was very cool because Chucky is one of my favorite characters that they have done at Halloween Horror Nights. So, and then before you cross the bridge to get to the next area, which was the cycle area, pretty much there was a video screen that showed Chucky with a knife. So depending on what they did in the House of Horrors for Halloween Horror Nights, they could change that video screen to show you different things. As you enter the cycle room, so as you go across the bridge, and then there's the cycle room. So the first area of the cycle room, before you get to the mirror maze, they have they recreate the basement where where the sister of Janet Leigh basically finds the corpse of Mother, and they usually would have a dummy there that would not get up and scare you. But for the Chucky maze, they decided to put a live actor in that spot, and he would scare you from time to time. So I thought that was actually pretty cool. So then you went into the mirror maze. You saw the dummy of Mother, the flashing thing of Mother. And then they had 2 more scare actors. So they added a new scare room in there where one of the sheets, where the mirrors could be open and there could be a scare actor coming out. And then you had the sheet scare where Mother would usually come out throughout the day, which I thought was pretty cool. Then, of course, you got to the hanging body location where there was nothing. There was no scare actors at all in that area. Then you go back downstairs to the first floor, and you enter the Wolfman's area. And you basically got scared by another Chucky Killer Army doll, and you also saw the Wolfman creature that you saw when you entered the maze at the very beginning. Then you go for the tunnel, and basically as you were going down the ramp to enter Frankenstein's laboratory. So after you get out of the tunnel, you have to make a left, and then there's a small ramp before you get into the Frankenstein laboratory. Basically, they had 2 scare actors of the killer people. They had a Chucky on the left side, and then they had a Chucky and then they had a killer doll on the right. The killer army doll on the right. So they got you from both sides. Then, if you saw that photo I showed of Chucky, that was actually inside the maze, where they had Chucky pretending to cut someone to turn him into a killer army doll, and then they had a girl actress that was on the chair that showed you how Chucky was turning people into the killer dolls. And then where Frankenstein would usually be in the House of Horrors, they had another Chucky doll that did the same motion. So they had about 3 or 4 different characters in that one room. So then you entered the butchered room, or the butcher's room, where you saw 3 more of the killer army dolls, and one of them had a chainsaw like the usual that they had during the day, and then you had 2 others that would chase you out. And then you get out of the maze. And as soon as you were out, you had two more scare actors, one with a knife, one with a chainsaw that was scaring you. And then you were pretty much done with the maze. And I'm going to say I enjoyed this one a lot better than the House of Horrors Meets the Stranger, because what I felt for the one in 2008 was that I've seen that maze multiple times because I used to be an annual pass holder. This one for Chucky's Funhouse, it was different. They had a lot more different they had a lot more different characters that I did not see during the day, so I thought this was a little bit better, but I understood that they had limitations for every single maze that was inside the House of Horrors, because it was open during the day, and then they would have to transfer into the whatever maze was going into the House of Horrors. So, as I said, this was a little bit better. And then there was some mazes that were in the House of Horrors that just blew my mind, that were over the top. But this one was a decent maze. I did enjoy it, but it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. So that's why I thought this one was an okay maze. It was an okay maze. It wasn't my favorite that was in the House of Horrors, but it was better than the one in 2008. So, moving on to the next one, which is Halloween: The Life and Crimes of Michael Myers. So, in 2008, this was located in the old Wild Wild West stunt show arena. So, basically, in 2008, that's where they had the Friday the 13th maze. So, they decided to do something with Halloween this year, and they called it Halloween: The Life and Crimes of Michael Myers. So, here we go. So, here is the description for this maze. Michael Myers, the famous mask killer, has returned to the town of Haddonfield on Halloween Horror Night. Prepare for a terrifying journey through the life and crimes of Michael Myers, from the original murder in the Myers house in 1963 to the terrifying time of the St. Grove Sanitarium, to his ferret and body return to Haddonfield. Start at the entrance of the house where it all began, but watch your back. Michael could be weighing around any turn. This is an open house that you will never forget. So, basically, a lot of people are getting confused. So, just to clarify, this is the first time they did something with Halloween. So basically, they did a mix of the original Halloween movie and then some scenes from the Rob Zombie 2007 movie. So that's the way that I felt, because then in future Halloween mazes, they did it only solely on the original Halloween movie, and then Halloween 2, Halloween 4. So, they did a lot of different Halloween mazes. But for this very first one, it was a mix of the original Halloween movie from 1978 and some scenes from the Rob Zombie 2007 Halloween movie. So, that's what they did. So, and then some of the scenes are from both films that were mixed together. So as I said, it was a mix between the original movie from 1978 and then some scenes from the Rob Zombie 2007 movie. The facade for this maze, I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell if it was from the original 1978 movie or from the 2007 movie, because it was really confusing. So as you were waiting in line, you saw a projector of Michael killing his sister Judith. So then you enter the maze. As you enter the maze, you enter the Myers house, and on the window to your left, there was a trick-or-treater that's banging on the window, and that is your first scare. So, the next room you walk into is Michael's sister's room, where you see her body on the floor. It is a dummy, not a live actress, just to make clear. Then you walk down the hallway, and there are no scare actors in that hallway. So it's just like a hallway that you would walk through to get into the next room. The next room, you walk into the kitchen of the Myers house, and you see little Michael dressed up in the clown costume that comes out from a closet and scares you. So basically, you're starting it at the Michael Myers house, just like what the description says. Then you walk on the path, and you're leaving the Myers house, and you're heading to the St. Grove Sanitarium. Halfway through the pathway, you get scared by a scare actor that's dressed as Dr. Loomis. And as you're going to the sane asylum, you are hearing the alarm bell like someone has escaped the asylum. Then you walk past a couple of rooms, and Michael Myers, that's dressed in his band-aids, comes out from a vent and scares you. Then you walk into a random person's room that Michael Myers hurt or was killing. So it's some random dummy. Then you leave the sanitarium, and you walk down the alleyway that Michael Myers walked through to get back to his childhood home. And you see the first scare actor dressed as Michael Myers comes out and scares you. So then you walk past a sign that says Havenfield. So now you know that you're entering the town. A random scare actor scares you as you pass by the sign. So it's not one of the trick-or-treaters, it's just a random scare actor that scares you. Then you Then you go into a random person's house. I think it's one of Laurie's friends that's trying to exit, and then Michael Myers is outside passing for the window. So basically, you had the scare actress that was in there trying to get out, and then from the outside, Michael Myers, like the scare actor, would walk past the window and bang on the window, and that's was the whole scene, and that was the scare. Then you see the scene where Bob, if you don't know, Bob is the guy that wears the glasses, and then he gets killed by Michael Myers. Is hanging up against the wall with the knife through his chest, and then Michael, dressed in the jumpsuit, comes out and scares you and pretends to kill Bob. The next room you walk into is a random living room where you hear the famous jingles from the Halloween movies. Not from Season of the Witch, but the normal jingle from like the original Halloween movies. You also see dummies of small children in the living room that supposedly were killed by Michael Myers. Then another scare after Michael comes out and scares you to get you into the next room. Then you see the famous scene where Michael is dressed as Bob with the sheets over his head with the glasses, and he kills the girl with the telephone pole. Or telephone cord. Not the pole. Telephone cord. Then you see a dead body of Julie Myers on the bed with her tombstone, and then Michael Myers comes out and scares you. Then you go through the famous closet scene where Laurie is trying to get away from Michael, but the way that they did this, they made it bigger where you were Laurie, and then there was multiple Michael Myers trying to get you and stab you. Then you exit the maze and you see Loomis one more time. And then as you are exiting to go back to Western Street, Michael Myers comes out from like the outside closet and scares you, and then that's the end of the maze. So I really did enjoy this maze. It was a good year. This was the first time they ever did something with Halloween or Michael Myers. Then you're going to see a pattern as we get into the other years where they did Halloween, where some of the years were good, and then some of them just they did Halloween too much, and it felt like the same to me. But we'll get to those years as we get to them. Now we're going to talk about the final maze in this part 1. Is My Bloody Valentine, Be Mine Forever. So, here's a story before we get into the details of this maze. So, originally, that year in 2009, Universal Pictures was working on a remake of The Wolfman that starred Anthony Hopkins and Benicio del Toro. And apparently what happened was the movie had to shoot a lot longer because it was supposed to come out that October or right before Halloween Horror Nights was about to begin. So basically they were going to have the movie come out before the event opened, and then people could see the movie and then go through the maze. Well, apparently the movie got delayed until 2010. So unfortunately, they didn't want to promote that movie that no one was going to see. So basically, they were halfway in designing they were halfway into building the Wolfman maze based off the remake of the Wolfman, and apparently that was not going to come out. So luckily, they had a backup maze that they had just in case the Wolfman was not going to happen, which was the 2009 remake of My Bloody Valentine. So they basically shift gears and started construction on My Bloody Valentine, Be Mine Forever, based off the 2009 movie. And basically, my mom saw this movie with me, so when we got to the maze, she understood the maze, because originally it was going to be the Wolfman, but as I said, that never happened. So we eventually got the Wolfman maze, but it did not come in 2010. It came in 2011, and I'm not going to tell you where that location was until we get 2011. So originally, Wolfman Maze was going to come in 2009. The movie got delayed into 2010. They didn't do the Wolfman Maze until 2011. So that's how we got My Bloody Valentine. So, My Bloody Valentine, Be Mine Forever. It was located in the Shrek 4D, and behind the Shrek 4D show, in their extended queue. So here's the description. 10 years ago, a tragedy changed the town of Henderson forever. Tom Heisman on Internet Mine Corner caused an accident in the tunnel that trapped and killed 5 men and sent and only one survivor, Harry Wharton, in a permanent coma. But Harry Wharton wanted revenge. Exactly 1 year later, on Valentine's Day, he woke up and began brutally murdering 22 people with a pickaxe. Now it's the 10-year anniversary of the tragedy, and Harry has returned to look for local teams using the abandoned mine as a party site. It's going to be a bloody Valentine. So, as I said, this one was based off the 2009 3D movie. So everything that you're going to see in this maze is basically in the 2009 movie. So as you enter the maze, you enter the mine shaft from the beginning of the film where they were having the party. As you go further, you hear an alarm bell, and then you hear some equipment as well, like people were mining in the mine, and then the first scare actor that you see is pretending to get electrocuted in the mine. You also see the girl's head that gets cut by a shovel in half. So you also see that dummy of that girl. The next scene or sets that you walk through is the motel from the movie. There's a character that comes behind the bush that pretend to get cut by Harry Wharton. Then you'll see a girl that's dressed in a sexy lingerie come out from one of the hotel rooms. And then you see the first Harry Wharton character come from an alleyway and scares you with a pickaxe. Then the next area you enter is the office of the motel, where you see the dummy of the hotel manager, which was that small, short woman from the film, against the wall. Then you enter another hotel room where you see Harry Warren pretend to pull a girl's heart out from her chest. Then as you exit that room, you see another Harry Warren come out from the left and scare you as you enter the next scene. The next scene is you enter the sheriff's cabin. And you see a dummy of a girl sitting on the bed, and then Harry Warren comes out and pretends to cut her in half. Then you return to the mine, and Harry Warren comes from the right as you pass a porta potty before you enter the mine again. Then you walk down a couple of hallways where there are no scare actors. Then you enter a room with lockers. Nothing in the locker room. So no scare actors, nothing in the locker room. Then you enter a bathroom where you see a victim come out from one of the stalls, and then Harry Warren comes out from the next stall. So this is the room that creeped me out the most in this maze. You enter the uniform room where you basically had to walk through like these 3 rows of uniforms, and basically you had to walk through them, and it scared the heck out of me. So you walked through the uniform room with these Hanes, and you had to go in between them, and then 2 Harry Warrens came out and scared you as you were going through that location. So that scared the heck out of me. And then the last couple of rooms, you were back basically in the mine location, and you heard some sounds and some stuff were coming at you. And then there's another thing that scared me as you were exiting the maze. You basically there was a mine cart that came and scared you and then went back up, so it was like a moving prop that scared the fuck out of you. Then as you exit the maze, but you were not done because you had to exit through the Shrek pre-show room, and just like what they did in 2008, they had 2 or 3 Harry Wardens that would scare you before you went back into the park. And that was the My Bloody Valentine. That maze scared the fuck out of me. Even though I saw the movie, it was good. I am so glad that they decided to do this maze instead of the Wolfman. Because I thought this maze was better. So yeah, I really did enjoy this maze. So I really thought This maze was wonderful. Well, guys, that is going to wrap up part 1 of this Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood 2009 history video / podcast. So, I know you guys are wondering when is part 2 and part 3 coming out. So, I'm going to let you guys know right now. So, today is Thursday, April 4th. So, this is when part 1 is coming out. So, part 2 is going to come out. Let me look at the calendar just to make sure I'm giving you the right date. And now I can get rid of this. Part 2 is going to be coming out on Monday, April 8th, 2024. So this Monday coming out is going to be part 2, where we're going to talk about the rest of the mazes, which is only one maze, and then the terror tram, and then the 6 scare zones. So then part 3 is going to be coming out on Wednesday, April 10th, where we're going to talk about the 2 shows. So that is going to be the schedule for the Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood 2009 history videos / podcast. All right, guys, so that is the schedule for when part 2 and part 3 are coming out. So this is the end of part 1. I know that was a lot of information to get through, but I wanted to let you guys know because I know a lot of people are going to ask me on social media when part 2 and part 3 are coming out. So now you know at the end of this video when those videos are coming out. So I want to thank everyone that's been watching my videos and everyone that's been listening to my podcast, both on Apple Podcast and Amazon Music Podcast. Thank you for all the support. A ton of videos are going to be coming out for the summer, so look forward to that. So I'm going to end this now. So I want to thank everyone for watching. Thank you for listening. This was episode 15 of the Jimmypancakes20 Show, part 1 of my Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood 2009 history video part 1. And I will see you guys on Monday, April 8th for part 2. So this is James, aka Jimmypancakes20, signing off. And I'll catch you guys in the next video / podcast.